Some of my most popular installation guides so far have been on Windows 8 and Windows 8.1, especially obtaining the Windows 8 OEM product key and installation of Windows 8.1 with a Windows 8.0 product key, in addition to downloading Windows 8.1 installation media. Microsoft's original deployment of Windows 8 and 8.1 made installation, especially downloading media, incredibly difficult for customers, especially OEM customers. Many of these issues have been resolved with the Windows 8.1 media creation tool. However, customers are still being confused due to Microsoft's deployment of Windows 8.1. I'll explain some of these common pitfalls and I'll give workarounds to them where possible. So the first issue customers are experiencing with the new utility is determining their Windows 8.1 edition. There's essentially 4 home versions, although Microsoft don't brand the word home in these. There's Windows 8.1, Windows 8.1N, Windows 8.1 single language, and then there's Windows 8.1 with Bing. The last one is a free version of Windows 8.1, and no ISO is available. Then there are also the 2 versions of Windows 8.1 Professional, Windows 8.1 Professional and Windows 8.1 Professional N. And last but not least, there's Windows 8.1 Professional with Media Center. Media Center is an upgrade from Windows 8.1 Professional, so install Windows 8.1 Professional and then add the features using the Media Center key. If you have a working installation, then the easiest way of determining your Windows edition is from System. To do this, right-click the Start button and select System, or press Windows and X and then select System. So I've just got Windows 8.1 single language as a virtual machine, and I'm using this as an example. And now I'll bring through another virtual machine. Again, I'll right-click the Start button, and then I'll select System. Or I'll press Windows and X, and then I'll select System. And here you can see that the Windows edition is Windows 8.1. And now I'll just bring in another virtual machine. And again, I'll right-click the Start button, or press Windows and X, and now select System. And I can see that this edition is Windows 8.1N. And now I'll just bring in another virtual machine, and this time I'll right-click the Start button again, or press Windows and X, and I'll select System. And this time you can see that I've got Windows 8.1 Pro or Windows 8.1 Professional. And I'll bring in the last virtual machine. This one has Windows 8.1 Professional N. So this is 5 different editions of Windows which the Windows Media Creation tool covers. So now at least some of you are going to ask, what happens if my installation isn't working, i.e. it doesn't boot or my hard drive has crashed? Well, unfortunately Microsoft gives you a Windows 8 sticker or a Windows 8 Professional sticker. This sticker in no way tells you whether you have 8.1 Home, 8.1 Home N, 8.1 Home Single Language, or 8.1 with Bing. Unfortunately, none of these are equal. The other sticker, again, you have no idea if you've got Professional or Professional N, and Professional N also don't equal each other. So this basically leaves you in a trial and error scenario. You've got 4 editions of Windows 8.1, but only 3 ISOs available. Or alternatively, you've got 2 editions of Windows 8.1 Professional, with both ISOs available. So now we'll actually talk about using the Windows Media Creation tool. It's pretty easy to use. You just need to download it from the Microsoft website. So I'll just go to my guide and I'll select download Microsoft Windows, download Windows 8.1 Retail and OEM ISO, and I'll scroll down to download links. And I'll just scroll down and I'll select Create Media. And I'll just download the Windows 8.1 Media Creation Tool and launch it. And I'll select Run. And here it's dead easy. It just loads, gives you three options. The first one's your language, and I'll select English, United Kingdom, because I'm from the United Kingdom. You can see all the other languages available, and it's got 5 editions. So I'll select Windows 8.1 Pro, and I'll select 64-bit. And you can directly save to a USB flash drive, or you can alternatively save the ISO. In general, I prefer saving the ISO so I can use it multiple times. So once I tell it to save to an ISO, it will begin to download. And this download is about 4 GB, so it will take a very long time. I've sped up the recording of the download significantly. While waiting on it to download, I'm just going to discuss 2 problems of the Windows 8.1 Media Creation Tool. The first one is that it requires Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1 or Windows 10 to run. It will not run on Windows Vista or Windows XP. In addition, it will not run on Linux or Apple operating systems. And this can make it difficult for users to switch from Linux to Windows. Unlike Windows 7, there's no direct download link to an ISO. You can, in these cases, install Windows 7 as a virtual machine in VMware Player and use that to download a Windows 8.1 ISO. It's a bit of a convoluted workaround, but it works. So now my download is complete and my ISO has downloaded. In order to use the ISO to make a bootable USB, I like to use a utility called Rufus. So I'm just going to download that now, and I'm going to copy the downloaded exe into the folder with the Windows 8.1 Professional ISO. Actually, I have all the ISOs for Windows 8.1 64-bit English UK. So I'm just going to launch Rufus, and I'm wanting to make a bootable USB from my drive L. One important thing regarding Rufus is the partition scheme. I'm going to use the MBR partition scheme for BIOS or UEFI. You might want to use the GPT partition scheme for a UEFI BIOS, especially if you have a large capacity hard drive, 3 terabytes or larger. So now I'm just going to press start. Rufus will format the USB flash drive, and then it will copy all the necessary files over to make a Windows 8.1 Professional bootable USB. Once it's finished, it will say done to the bottom left, and then you can just close Rufus, and you can check your bootable USB. Check all the contents are there. Check the size of it. And now you can use the bootable USB to install Windows 8.1. Now I'm going to talk about the BIOS Embedded System Locked Pre-installation key. The BIOS Embedded System Locked Pre-installation key is an OEM product key embedded into the motherboard of new hardware coming with Windows 8 or later. In some cases, users need to know this product key. I'm going to use a utility called RW Everything or Read Write Everything. This utility is recommended over other key finders because it looks to the hardware to find the product key and not to the Windows registry. Other utilities look at the Windows registry and often give bogus product keys, i.e. they get confused. So select Access and then ACPI Tables, and then select the MSDM tab. If you don't have an MSDM tab, then you don't have a Windows 8 or Windows 8.1 BIOS embedded OEM system locked pre-installation key. This is either because your system is too old, i.e. came with Windows 7 or earlier, or there's something wrong with the motherboard and you need to contact your OEM to get it replaced. So now I'm just going to mention the Windows 8.1 generic product keys. There's a generic product key for each version. The generic product key allows for installation. This allows you to trial Windows 8.1 and you can switch for a full retail key at any later time. In the past, for Windows 8.0 product keys, you needed to use the generic product key instead and then use change key. This should be fixed with the new ISOs from the Windows Media Creation tool. So now I'm just going to install Windows 8.1. I'm going to install Windows 8.1 Home or Windows 8.1 Core, usually just branded Windows 8.1. So I'm just going to let the installation begin and I'll get to the Windows setup and I'll be instructed to enter the Windows 8.1 product key and I'll enter the core generic product key and you'll see that I'll get the Microsoft Software License Agreement Windows 8.1. This time I'm going to just go back and I'm going to enter the core N product key. And look what happens. It says that this product key cannot be used for this edition of Windows. And this also happens with the core single language. So I'm just going to enter that. And unfortunately, I end up with the same error message. And now I'm just going to launch a new virtual machine, this time with the core N ISO. And I'm just going to select Next, Install Now, and I'll be on the same Enter Your Product Key screen. And I'm just going to input the core N generic product key and select Next. And you'll see that this time I'll get to the Windows 8.1 N Microsoft Software License Agreement. And now I'll launch the Windows 8.1 single language ISO in another virtual machine. And I'll select Next, Install Now, and I'll be prompted for the product key. I'll input the core single language generic product key and I'll select Next. And you'll see I get to the Windows 8.1 single language Microsoft Software License Agreement screen. And it mentions that it's highly likely to be an OEM product. So now I'll just move on to a professional ISO. And I'll again demonstrate the use of generic product keys and how Windows 8.1 Professional and Windows 8.1 Professional N product keys and ISOs are not interchangeable. So now the setup will begin and I'll input the Windows 8.1 Professional product key. And I'll get to the Microsoft Software License Agreement screen for Windows 8.1 Professional. And I'll just select Back. And I'll type in the Professional N generic product key. And again, I get the error message that the product key is for another edition of Windows 8.1. So now I'll just launch the virtual machine of Windows 8.1 Professional N. And again, I'll select Next and begin the install. Computer's going a bit slow because I've got 5 Windows 8.1 virtual machines running currently, I'll input the Windows 8.1 ProfessionalN generic product key, and you should see that I get to the Windows 8.1 ProfessionalN Microsoft Software License Agreement screen. So finally, if you decide to evaluate Windows 8.1 using these generic product keys and have went out and bought a retail license of the same version, then you can go to System Properties, or you can press Windows and X and then select System, and then you can select Change Product Key and then Activate. I personally recommend evaluation a lot, especially when you're installing Windows 8.1 on an older computer. Some people have been inquiring about Windows 8.1 single language and want to know if the ISOs and product keys are interchangeable between different languages. So I'm just going to demonstrate the installation of English UK with the generic product key. And you'll see that it's accepted and it takes me to the English license agreement screen. And now I'm going to launch another virtual machine. This time I'm going to install Windows 8.1 single language in French. Again, I'm going to use the same generic product key. And you'll see that it takes me to the French license agreement screen. And now I'm going to switch to a third virtual machine, and this time I'm going to install Windows 8.1 single language in Spanish. And again, I'm going to input the generic product key. And you'll see that I get taken to the Spanish license agreement screen. So it seems that the product keys for all Windows 8.1 single languages and ISOs are interchangeable. For those who want to install Windows 8.1 Professional with Media Center, you should first install Windows 8.1 Professional using the Windows 8.1 Professional ISO and your Windows 8.1 Professional product key. You can right-click the Start button and then select System. Next, select Get More Features with a new edition of Windows. Input your Media Center product key. In this case, I'm using the generic product key. Select Add Features, and then the computer will restart. After restarting, you'll be told everything's okay. And now you can right-click the Start button again and select System. And now under Windows Edition, you've got Windows 8.1 Professional with Media Center. So now just some conclusions and remarks. The Windows 8.1 Media Creation Tool is a huge improvement over the previous downloaders. Unfortunately, there's no Windows 8.1 with Bing ISO, and procuring media from an OEM costs a half to a third of the full device for this version of Windows 8.1, as it's only installed on budget devices. My personal advice at this time is just to install Windows 10 Technical Preview and evaluate Windows 10 until it's finally released, at which point you can take advantage of any promotional deals to get a full Windows license. Also, there's no means of downloading the ISO directly, so for non-Windows 7, 8, 8.1 or 10 installations, use a virtual machine of Windows 7. Windows 7 has a direct download link to an ISO installation file which you can use to install Windows 7 in a virtual machine in VMware Player. And you can have a look at this on my Windows installation guides. And finally, I want to mention that it would be really useful if we could get a bootable utility to determine both the Windows 8.0 and 8.1 BIOS embedded system locked pre-installation key. So hopefully someone from Microsoft has a look at this and improves the Windows 8.1 media deployment. And that's the end of this tutorial video. I hope you have found it useful. Please leave some comments on my installation guides and visit the Dell community forums if you need more help.